I want to apologize in advance for everything that you're about to see.
I couldn't think of a unique way to start this. Fuck you.
Now, I didn't want to talk about Anita Sarkeesian. I didn't want to talk about Phil Fish. I didn't want to talk about Zoe Quinn. I didn't want to talk about anything that ever came from any of those people. But no, here I am. Gamergate is a real thing.
It's Circle Jerk Central.
I hope the rest of your week goes horribly. Hope you fall down a flight of stairs.
Oh, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck off.
Well, fuck you.
Oh, fuck you.
Fuck you.
I can't stand these YouTubers that just gratuitously swear all the time. What a bunch of fucking pricks. Hello there, hello there, hello there, and welcome to episode 34 of The Descent of Man-osphere, the series where I take you through the ways in which the Man-osphere and its utterly fucking disgusting inhabitants are trying to reverse human evolution and drag us all back into the fucking sea. And today, we're dealing with the pretend liberal and least funny comedian in the history of ever. Seriously, this guy's fucking hemorrhoidally unfunny. Yes, it's Chris Reagan! Now, like I say, he's one of these guys that kind of pretends to be sort of centre-left, I suppose, but all he does is pander to the right-wing filth that infests YouTube. So naturally, he rose to popularity during Gamergate.
Let's just take a look at Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita Sarkeesian. Well, Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita Sarkeesian.
Of Anita Sarkeesian.
Well, would you look at that? Feminist Frequency. Well, Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita Sarkeesian video.
And Anita Sarkeesian at Feminist Frequency.
Yes, he was one of those fucking people. He was one of the cheap shit flingers and gained some notoriety and indeed some popularity. Look, he's got, I think, 300,000 subscribers or thereabouts. So he's attained some level of success there. But all he does is pander to the kind of fucking dickheads who have like Pepe the Frog avatars and have words like keck in their names on fucking Twitter or Facebook or wherever. The kind of people who I hope get hit by a fucking bus. But in terms of his Gamergate affiliation and all that fucking shite, I'll save that for later in the video. Now, Chris is just like his good buddies, the Amazing Atheist and Sargon of Akkad, who are also two people he appeared in the Questions White Guys Have for SJWs video. But just like his two buddies, he's one of these people that pretends to be sort of on the left, sort of liberal, but just panders to right-wing scum, as I said. And one of the really obvious giveaways that he isn't actually on the left, just like those other fucking two, is that you won't see him much publicly criticising Donald Trump. You get the odd word, but it's pretty mild, it's pretty fucking stale compared to the extremism of the Trump regime. But on Twitter, Chris had an explanation for the lack of public criticism from him towards the Trump-a-lumper. As you can see from this tweet, Chris doesn't want to cover Donald Trump because everyone else is already doing it, and obviously he just wants to be really original, you know? But there's one problem with that explanation, Chris, and that is that it's total fucking bullshit. All you ever do is cover the exact same shit, the exact same videos, the exact same topics that every other shitlord prick has already fucking covered. I mean, look at all these videos that you've done that have already been covered by every one of these fucking pretend liberal, fucking pandering dickheads on the internet. You're covering the same fucking shit all the time. I mean, you're like the worst tribute act ever. And a prime example of him just covering the same old shite that there's already a fucking million response videos to anyway is the first video that we're going to take a look at. And it's his response to a video put out by MTV News called 2017 New Year's Resolutions for White Guys. Which, as I said, had already been covered by every fucking arsehole on the internet. Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh. Anyway, Chris, take it away.
I think it's time to dive into today's subject matter, which is a video that MTV News put out entitled 2017 New Year's Resolutions for White Guys. And, well, there's not really much explaining I can do. I think it's best to just dive right in, yeah? Yeah.
Hey fellow white guys, it's about to be a new year. And there's a few things we think you could do a little bit better in 2017.
Oh look, he made their heads all big and funny. No need to take them seriously now. Ugh, fucking hell. I mean, this passes for comedy in Chris's world.
And there's a few things we think you could do a little bit better in 2017.
Hello, fellow white guys. Jesus Christ, I genuinely can't stand when people say, hello, fellow blank. It's the most irritating fucking thing in the world. I love that there's always this hive mind language that's always used when people try to address these kinds of things. Like there's a sisterhood of women, there's a fellowship of white guys. I don't associate with people because of their racial or sexual characteristics.
Except that you appeared in a video entitled Questions White Men Have for SJWs. You lying prick.
First off, try to recognize that America was never great for anyone who wasn't a white guy.
Excuse me! That's pretty dumb. What about literally every successful black artist and actor living today? America's been pretty great for them, wouldn't you say?
The irony of you saying that's pretty dumb and then following it up with the guff that you did is fucking ludicrous. Now, obviously, whilst black artists who are successful have it pretty good, they don't have it so good compared to their white artists at the same level, okay? I mean, just look at the way that Beyonce was ripped apart for daring to speak up and speak out about issues that she cares about. Nobody is saying that no black person has ever been successful in America. Obviously, that's fucking ludicrous. It's comparative. What we are saying is that at every rung of the socio-economic ladder, the black people at that level have it worse than the white people at that level. And of course, she's referring to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again shtick, which has within it the implication that America was great before recent times, which of course isn't true for people of colour. Before recent times in America, black people were not getting the fucking rich pickings of life, although they did often end up themselves strange fruit.
Just because there's a history of racism in the country doesn't mean it's only ever been great for white people. Because then how do you explain trailer park people or white trash? Like, how do you justify their existence? I bet Toothless Cletus, who lives under the fucking inbreeding van, is having a grand old time whenever he's not chronically unconscious.
Did you even bother to listen to what she just fucking said? She said it wasn't great for people who weren't white. She did not say, therefore, that all honkies had it fucking good. So that would be a ridiculous straw man on your part, you fucking arsehole.
Can we all just agree that Black Lives Matter isn't the opposite of All Lives Matter? Black lives just matter. There's no need to overcomplicate it.
Okay, you don't know what the word opposite means. It's okay. It's a really big word. It's a complicated word to understand. You see, I agree with you that all lives matter isn't the opposite of Black Lives Matter because that doesn't make any sense. The word all literally would include black lives. The opposite of Black Lives Matter would be Black Lives Don't Matter. It's pretty fucking simple shit. But it's the Black Lives Matter people who feel like all lives matter is the opposite. Like, they're the ones treating it as if it is.
And they treat it that way precisely because it is an opposition movement. It was set up to try and cover up the black issues that, you know, BLM were trying to raise. It was basically a way of trying to shout down black people who were speaking up for themselves. Whilst of course having the dual function of muddying the waters by making it look like BLM is in fact inherently a racist hate movement. Which it isn't, but never mind.
Also, Blue Lives Matter isn't a thing. Cops weren't born with blue skin, right? I mean, yeah, they weren't born blue.
Good. Fucking brilliant. You gotta be kidding me with this shit. You can't say something you're addressing isn't a thing just because you have a negative opinion of it. Also, they weren't born blue? What the hell does that mean? What does that literally mean?
It means that whilst becoming a police officer and remaining a police officer, and therefore within that accepting the potential negatives of being a police officer, is not the same as being black. You can't just resign from being black or fucking retire from the NYBD. So saying Blue Lives Matter as a response to Black Lives Matter is a false equivalence. The potential negative consequences of being a police officer can be totally avoided by not being a police officer. Whereas the potential negatives of being a black person can't be avoided because you can't stop being black. Unless you do the Michael Jackson skin bleaching thing, but you know what I mean. For the majority of black people, that isn't a fucking option. They can't just stop being black. And before anyone jumps up and says, oh, were you trying to justify attacks on police then? No, obviously. The literal meaning of Blue Lives Matter, as in the lives of police officers matter, is obviously fucking true. They're humans as well. So I'm not saying that blue lives don't matter. I'm not addressing the attacks on police officers at this point. I'm just saying that Blue Lives Matter as a tactic, as an argumentation tactic, especially online, is fucking disgusting.
Stop bragging about being woke. Stop saying woke.
I actually agree with that. 100%. Woke is a stupid term. You see, MTV, we're finally finding some common ground. We both hate people who say woke. Don't ruin this moment for me.
Learn what mansplaining is, and then stop doing it.
You done fucked it up. You done fucked it up. There it goes. There goes the moment of common ground. Off into the breeze. MTV News, Episode 4, A Lost Hope. Now, I've already done videos on mansplaining. I'm not gonna repeat myself. You can fucking just click on that fucking thing, and you'll find those videos. It's a made-up term for a made-up thing.
I wonder why Chris is so against acknowledging mansplaining. Could it be that he's the mansplainiest mansplainer in the history of mansplainitude? Yeah, that's exactly what it fucking is.
Catcalling isn't harassment. It doesn't harm you in any way.
As a player, you can solicit a prostitute, kill her, and if that's not enough, you have the option to run her over.
You also have the option to run men over. Or even crazier, you have the option to do neither. See, choice is a part of video games, Juju darling.
Then you've entered a realm of insanity. You've entered a realm where you are the main character of the universe and everything needs to bend to your will despite the fact that you're not the main character in the universe. One person finding something too sexual or too offensive should not be enough for that thing to be just completely done away with.
It was to personally destroy the woman that was critiquing them.
No, the threats were internet death threats. They are a dime a dozen. I get them all the time. Stop acting like this is some kind of new epidemic that is only common in the gaming circle. It's very clear that this is an emotional argument for Anna, and she's incapable of understanding that while the subject of the story, rape, is the same, there are nuances and differences in the grand scheme of things that do in fact matter.
Yeah, this guy is a fucking douche.
Oh, and if you're a judge, don't prioritize the well-being of an Ivy League athlete over the woman he assaulted.
Brock Turner? What? That doesn't have anything to do with being white. That has to do with the judge being a complete asshole. The judge is a fucking retard, no doubt about it. But there's nothing to do with whiteness.
Are you suggesting that a black guy would have been treated so leniently? Because there are 1,000,001 cases which disprove that, you dickhead.
We know nobody's perfect.
But honestly, you could do a little better in 2017.
Oh, it's real good advice. Just do better next year, guys. Just do better. Fucking brilliant.
Oh, Jesus H. fucking Christ. Chris is even against personal growth and emotional development. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Now, sticking with the theme of Chris basically copying the same fucking nonsense that other shitlords have done, he has a particular obsession with one news outlet.
But I found a video on the Young Turks.
That the Young Turks would...
Why exactly do you hate the Young Turks so much?
The Young Turks. TYT?
The Young Turks.
Cenk Uygur's current war with Sam Harris and
Jimmy Dore. Good God, I cannot stand Jimmy Dore's soul. His very soul irritates me. He's the worst.
This is exactly where my blood began to boil. First of all, Anna Kasparian has absolutely no authority.
Yes, just like every other right-wing arsehole, he despises the Young Turks. Now, I'm not going to take you through a whole video he's done on the Young Turks because, frankly, it's the same old shit that you could get on any of these other dickheads' channel. You know the points he's going to make, and therefore you probably know the points I'm going to make in return, so let's not bother, right? But I am going to show you one small clip, one little tiny clip, one, dare I say, Trumpian hand-size clip of a video he did in response to the Young Turks, which is going to form the basis of this episode's edition of... I said of weird there. Fuck it, I'll keep that in, bollocks to it. Yes, it's the inevitable bit about rape. Oh, God. But anyway, let's take a look at this little clip, shall we?
It's really interesting
because
in
America.
Right, it's a problem in many different countries, right?
No,
and it's interesting that when it comes to accusations of rape here in the United States, oftentimes it's met with a lot of skepticism, especially if it happens on a college campus.
Look, it's met with skepticism because the accusation is so huge. If someone is accused of rape, their lives are over. That's with them forever, even if it's false.
Couple of points, Chris. Firstly, in terms of being sceptical about rape claims, it makes sense that the police would need to be sceptical about rape claims because obviously it's their job to find out, what actually happened. Because in doing so, they can then put people in prison and shit. So it's really important that they are sceptical and that they go through thoroughly what happened and what took place and gather evidence meticulously and all the rest of it. The average person, though, that isn't necessary, okay? You could just act with sympathy and empathy and decency toward a fellow human being. A person who, if they've come to you telling you about an allegation of rape against another person, is statistically far more likely to be telling the truth and actually therefore be a rape victim than to be telling a falsehood. Regardless of what the fucking MRAs want to tell you. You really don't need to be that sceptical, not openly anyway. In terms of what you think inside your own head, I really don't give a fuck. Just don't be a prick towards someone who statistically is way more likely to be a rape victim than not. You don't need to ask them, questions, probing questions about the night, like what they were wearing, what they were drinking, so on and so forth. You don't need to know any of that information. You can't do anything with that information. So basically, just shut the fuck up and be a nice human being. I mean, is that really too much to ask? And secondly, as to your point about rape allegations supposedly ruining a man's life, yeah, I'm calling bullshit on that one.
Yeah, there have actually been loads and loads and loads of guys who have been accused of, or in some cases convicted of, either rape or sexual assault, who have not had their fucking lives ruined, you lying piece of shit. But anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Now, once again, sticking with the exact same fucking theme of he's basically a copycat of everyone else and does exactly the same shit as all the rest of his fucking peers, he also has a rather bonerific obsession with MTV.
Anyway, today we're talking about MTV News, more specifically MTV Decoded, and its host, Francesca Ramsey. Compared to other videos that MTV News and MTV Decoded have done,
some time ago, MTV was the cornerstone of music television. But time, like any force of nature, often weathers the unbreakable.
Or an MTV Decoded video. To understand MTV Decoded though...
And once again, I'm not going to go through an entire video because it's the same shit you can get from any of those other channels. So, you know what he's going to say about them, and you know basically what I'm going to say in response. So let's not bother. But what I am going to take you through is one rather odd half message, which comes from an Ask FM question which he answered, which went on to Twitter, regarding one of the hosts of an MTV show, that being one Lacey Green. Rory Katz, you little prick. Get the fuck down, go on! So that would be Rory Katz trying to knock over my microphone. What a little fuck. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so basically this will be this episode's edition of... Yes, it's the almost inevitable bit about Lacey Green. Yippee! Ooh, my voice hasn't got that high in about 15 fucking years.
As you can see from the tweet there, someone's asked him, do you agree with Lacey Green? And he says, what? No, she's not a woman's rights advocate. She's a feminist. As I've said, and then you have to go and click on the link. But when you do, you find this. Ah! Page not found. I want to know what his fucking point was, but it's been deleted, so, I mean, what the fuck can I do? Well, we know what he means, but, you know, I want to see what his pathetic justification was, but it's gone, so I'm just going to go with he's a dick, and let's move on. Yeah? Okay, let's move on.
Now, Chris, as I think I've shown, is full of fucking shit. And another example of that would be the way in which he does this thing that a lot of the freeze peach warriors out there do, where they'll say things like...
Because people nowadays are religious with their politics, or they just want to feel like they're better than everybody else by calling them the worst names in the book. And people like Sargon and people like me and people like Shu and Skeptic, we've been kind of demonized as sort of racist, xenophobic, just basically every buzzword you can think of that applies to the worst human beings.
But then follow it up with stuff like this.
These social justice warriors, these regressive leftists,
I think most social justice warriors, the whole social justice warrior ideology.
Drinking the regressive Kool-Aid.
Regressive left, social justice warrior.
Social justice warriors?
In the regressive left and social justice circles. Is when the regressive left and the social justice warriors...
Yeah, if you go around calling people SJWs and cucks and cultural Marxist or whatever particular brand of bullshit you happen to have bought into there, you can't then say, I don't like buzzwords, I don't like labels. You're full of fucking shit. Now, before I let you go, it would be remiss of me not to include in my little sermon here touching upon the fact that he was a part of Gamergate. And for those who don't know, because I mean it was a little while back now, Gamergate was a supposed consumer revolt by gamers, and they were supposedly seeking ethical video games journalism. And this is from the very same people who claim that feminists are only interested in first world problems. Because yeah, there must be loads of, you know, starving African kids who really give a fuck about ethical video games journalism. Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, so they tried to package it up as this fucking consumer revolt and all that bollocks, and it was total shit. What it actually was, by and large, it may have started initially with some good intentions or whatever, but by and large, what it was a hate campaign largely targeted at people like Anita Sarkeesian, praise be upon her, Zoe Quinn, praise be upon her, and some other people, praise be upon them. I don't know, anyway. And they tried to make out like the SJWs are just, you know, they treat Anita Sarkeesian like a god and all this shit. And it's a lot of old bollocks. But anyway, let's take a look at a piece of propaganda that Chris produced during the whole Gamergate fucking dick-swinging bullshit-a-thon.
So another day has gone by in the Gamergate movement, and of course another so-called reputable game journalist publication has come out publicly against gamers. What a goddamn surprise.
This was an annoying aspect of the whole Gamergate fucking thing. The Gamergate has always tried to make out like Gamergate and gamers were basically synonymous, which isn't true, because there were loads of gamers, like myself, who were deeply against the Gamergate thing, because we could see that basically it was harassment against, you know, certain people. Mostly women, but not necessarily entirely, of course, but it was harassment and bullying campaign by bigoted, small-minded pricks on the internet. But they kept doing this thing where they'd say, like, you know, X media outlet has come out against gamers, when actually what they meant was they've come out against Gamergate. But they wanted to conflate the two, so in order to make themselves seem like a bigger deal and to make, you know, gamers who might not necessarily have gone with them go with them because of the propagandistic fucking bullshit of saying they're against all gamers when actually they weren't against all gamers. Or at least for the most part they weren't against all gamers.
What a goddamn surprise. This time, however, it was particularly frustrating because not only is the headline that they use so blatantly meant to be a slander piece, it also demonstrates a massive case of selective judgment.
The fucking sheer hypocrisy of a Gamergate supporter accusing somebody else of slander and selective judgment is truly astonishing.
The fine young capitalists' seemingly noble goals don't excuse them from scrutiny. Really, Stephen Daly of Gameranks, because it seems to be that Anita Sarkeesian's seemingly noble goals most certainly excuse her from criticisms and any kind of scrutiny.
She received no scrutiny whatsoever. I mean, are you fucking joking? Give me a fucking break.
Now, there's enough information about the fine young capitalists available, and you can find it anywhere, but I suggest watching this video by the Internet Aristocrat since it's a good introduction to the whole thing, while also being incredibly informative and moderately amusing.
He cites the Internet Aristocrat as a source, and yet still wants to be taken seriously. Fucking hell. I mean, there is so much derp in this video in such a short space of time. I mean, we're only 40 seconds in, and this is the 4th time I've had to fucking cut in.
So forget about the fine young capitalists for just a moment. Let's talk about Jack Thompson and Anita Sarkeesian. Well, what do they have to do with each other? Well, I'll spell it out for you. Jack Thompson was a lawyer that claimed video games caused real-world violence. He was criticized heavily by gamers, the games media, pretty much everyone because his points were ill-informed and the scientific data completely conflicted with his. He received death threats. He was run out of his profession because of the stance he took.
Whoa there, horsey. Jack Thompson was not run out of his profession for the stance he took. He was run out of his profession for professional misconduct, which involved bullying and harassing people, including a couple of occasions where he publicly and knowingly wrongly accused people of distributing child pornography, which is a rather serious crime. Yet he had absolutely no evidence that they'd engaged in this practice, or even had any reason to suspect that they might have engaged in this. That's what we call corruption. Okay? That's why he was disbarred by the Florida bar, because he's a corrupt, bullying piece of shit. Not because of his stance on video games. By and large, lawyers don't tend to give too much of a fuck about other people's opinions on video games. It's not a massive issue. Which all makes me think, why are you trying to set up a straw man as to why Jack Thompson was disbarred from being a lawyer? And it's because you want to make the false comparison between him and Anita Sarkeesian. And if you're saying that he was disbarred, he was discredited because of his stance on video games, then you can do exactly the same to Anita Sarkeesian. But the comparison is not fucking fair or accurate. Now, if you have any evidence of her bullying and harassing people, or accusing them of very serious crimes like distributing child pornography, the kind of shit that people get locked up for, right? If you have any evidence of that, then please come forward with it. To the police, ideally, but more generally, you can come out and say it. But I'm guessing that you don't have that, and that all you're trying to do is set up this straw man comparison between the two, so that the idiots amongst your subscriber base will just go, oh, that means I have to hate Anita Sarkeesian now, because everyone hates Jack Thompson. I mean, literally everyone. He's a fucking arsehole.
Because his arguments were flawed and the data proved it. His points were all agenda-driven. The games media did not jump to his rescue. Now fast forward a couple of years. Anita Sarkeesian is a feminist that claims video games cause real-world sexism. She was criticized heavily by gamers because her points were ill-informed and the scientific data completely conflicted with hers, specifically the gamer demographic percentiles and the very same data that proved video games have no real-world cognitive consequence. She received death threats and was run out of her home because of the stance she took, because her arguments were flawed and the data proved it.
Whoa there again, horsey. Let's check that sentence out again, shall we, right? You're saying that she got death threats because the arguments she made were flawed. I mean, that's a really interesting way of trying to frame that. I mean, you're not trying to do, like, death threat apology here, are you? Because later on in the video you say you're against death threats, but just then it seemed like you were trying to justify the death threats against her. Just, just asking.
The game's media, however, did jump to her rescue, vehemently so, calling all gamers white male virgins despite actual evidence to the exact contrary.
You mean just like Milo Yiannopoulos did before he realised he could make a quick buck out of you fucking idiots? You know, Milo Yiannopoulos, the guy you took on as like the fucking king of Gamergate bollocks, right? Who said all of that very same shit, but then you took him on because he agreed with you later on, because you're fucking idiots. The guy who used Gamergate like a wank rag and then discarded you at the first possible opportunity. You know, that guy, yeah?
So it's okay to criticize Jack Thompson for poorly articulated arguments, but it's not okay to leverage that same criticism against Anita Sarkeesian. Why? The criticisms are nearly identical, with one key factor being different. Anita Sarkeesian is a woman, and Jack Thompson is not.
Oh, won't someone think of the men? Now, I've already been through why your comparison is fucking bullshit, because Jack Thompson was disbarred for being a corrupt piece of shit, not because of his stance on video games. But there's a couple of other things that you need to bear in mind here. It's much easier to defend Anita Sarkeesian because she isn't a homophobic, religious bigot, unlike Jack Thompson, who is. But also, in terms of the gender difference here, right, let's take a look at some of the criticism that Anita Sarkeesian received, and let's see if we can pick up any hints that actually it wasn't the anti-Gamergate people who made this about gender. Yeah, it was you fucking dickheads who made it about gender, so fuck off. But anyway, let's wrap this nonsense off. Right, Chris Raygun is just a really bland twat who does the same shit that everyone else has already done a million times. I think I've made that point once or twice already in this video, but it bears repeating because all he does is repeat. So, there's that. He's ludicrously unfunny. His idea of comedy seems to be just being kooky and zany. It's just tiresome. Really fucking tiresome. Like, it might get half a chuckle the first time you see it, and then you think, well, you're barely a one-trick pony. There's nothing to this. You boring, tiresome fuck. And with all of that bollocks dealt with, there is only one thing left for me, or shall I say, Rory Cats, to say. Chris Reagan, go fuck yourself.
awful sound, bang bang, my baby shot me down. Seasons came and I changed the time. When I grew up I called him mine. He would always laugh and say, remember when we used to play? Bang bang, I shot you down. Bang bang, you hit the ground. Bang bang, that awful sound. Bang bang, my baby shot me down. Music played and people sang, and just for me that church bells rang. Now he's gone, and I don't know why. Until this day, sometimes I cry. He didn't even say goodbye. He